Mexico Revolution, Ukrainian corruption. Yeah, we kind of been rambling for a little bit, but
Yeah,
well,
basically just to restate what we're going to be talking about and what we just talked about for the last 5 minutes.
yeah,
My co-host is
that's my
freaking
bad. That's my
just
bad.
absolutely dropping the ball. But anyways, yeah, we're going to start off with talking about the resolution of the Epstein files and the vote that went on. Obviously, a great vote, 427-1, and we're going to be talking about
Hmm.
Ukraine corruption. When I went a little bit more in depth on this
Hmm.
last night, just to make sure I got a little bit more of an understanding. I haven't gone to the depth to know everything that's going on in Ukraine, but just to get some of these corrupted details that are going on in Ukraine, and then we're going to end with the Mexican Revolution
Mexico
going on
Revolution.
within the people. So yeah, I mean, I guess you start off with your examination of Epstein, and I'll go back into mine.
I mean, my narrative hasn't really changed from what we kind of discussed before. I think it's a smokescreen. Um, and of course, it you have to it's everything. A lot of them can't. A lot of it is a political game. It's a game of politics, and there's a reason why Trump kind of did a 180 with this. Um, I think Trump knew after when he went after Marjorie Taylor Greene, there was going to be a lot of overwhelmingly support on the Republican side, especially with, you know, Speaker Johnson withheld the inauguration for that one, I believe Arizona representative to beat the last vote, 218 vote, to get the vote to get the to get the Epstein file released started. And and I think that there's in my opinion, long story short, I think that the FBI and the Attorney General, if we're talking about the two individuals that does have complete control of this, is FBI Director um, and the Attorney General Pam Bondi. However, I think that most of the files are going to be heavily modified in favor of the Republicans, heavily redacted to erase any names that's remotely you know going to the to the Republican side. The reason why I say this is because Trump has been, he ran on his campaign for for a long time. And, during the, I don't know, past half a year, he's been a strong advocate against all of this. And of course,
Mhm.
this is a Democrat talking point. Well, you look at the
It's a
vote.
bipartisan. Yeah.
It's not a,
Getting
it's not
getting the
a,
Epstein files out.
it's not a Republican or it's not a
Yeah.
Democratic vote now. I mean, it's a
Hmm.
non-bipartisan issue, and the reason, and there's a, of course, there's a political game because if Trump really wanted to release the files, I mean, he
He could
essentially
do so without
he could have
Congress's
do so
approval.
without it.
Yeah.
I mean, just go. I mean, he pretty much already told Pam Bondi to go after Democrats who are involved in the, well, why only the Democrats? Why not go after the Republicans who are convicted or implicated in, obviously in an ugly way.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I think that the names are going to be pretty much erased. However, there is some I've read somewhere from like a Epstein's an associate that um, that the files that's going to be released is not going to be everything, because you have to remember there is also the grand jury, the sealed grand jury when it comes to like the Ghislaine Maxwell's deposition with Deputy FBI Dan Bongino.
Mhm.
That's under seals. You can, that's not a thing that you can vote against. that because that's
Yeah, you can't vote
you
against the
can't
protected
oppose.
privacy of the
Correct.
victims,
And
right?
what so Ian said that Trump can't veto it. I
He can't. It's
I
a
think
supermajority. It's kind
he
of just laughable.
well,
He can't.
here's the other issue is that I don't think he's going to veto it. I think he's going to play a different game. I think he's going to say, this is an active investigation. Too bad.
I don't think so.
We can't release, obviously, this is a huge talking point for every other
Oh, actually,
conspiracy. You can, conspiracy investigation. Hey, we can't release the files to an ongoing investigation. Sorry, sucks to suck.
I
And
think he will release it, but I'll think he'll use that talking point for some of the information that isn't released. So I
correct,
think
correct.
new stuff will come out,
Certain
but the
stuff he's going to
majority of it
withhold.
will be,
The,
yeah.
the serious
And he will, and
implication.
I don't, yeah, I don't think that what he says will be true when he says, "Hey, it's going to put some of the victims' privacy at risk." I don't think that's true. I think that's just a political game to keep himself and some of his associates. I think it's more for his associates to keep them safe. I don't think this is something. I don't think Trump's individually implicated to a degree where it's going to be hurt his career. It might because of his associate who he's engaged with before his presidency or while his presidency, but for him, I don't think he was in any of this like child predatory thing. I just think he was one of the people that kind of just said, "Hey, it's happening. It's none of my business." Maybe he knew about it. Maybe he didn't. I don't know. But I do think he knows about it now, and he knows that it looks bad for him.
I think it doesn't, it, in my opinion, at this point, it's a lose-lose. Yeah, there's nobody is winning from this. Obviously, the Republicans are going to say, "Hey, Donald Trump,
Well,
switched
here's the
sides,
thing:
and he
the
supported."
American
The Americans are
the
split.
American people are winning
The
are
Amer,
winning in this.
yeah, yeah,
Fuck Congress. Fuck Congress. Fuck the executive
yeah.
branch. Fuck the government. The American people are winning in this to a slight degree. I mean, we won't get most of it, but it's a good active defiance in the right direction.
It's yeah. You can't say that. I don't think there's nothing going to come out of it
Consequential.
that's going to be consequential.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that as well.
And
I just think the statement that was made is a good act of a good act of public decency for this to come out, and a good step in the right direction
well,
for the administration to
here's
be
my
more transparent,
here's my
and accountable.
fair. I mean, obviously, anything is better than nothing in the grand scheme of
Mm.
things.
Well, I'm not so worried about what's coming out in the files. I'm worrying about the action that was made
Hmm.
because I don't
Well,
think anything that's in the files will come out to be
to be really
wildly
damning.
surprising.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, well, here's what, you know, I'm scratching my head and thinking back on all related cases, MLK, JFK. Why
Mhm.
did it take the government decades to release those files if nobody was implicated? What's the holdup? They have the files. The investigation's been closed for decades. Why
Mhm.
today? Why now? Same thing for this one. Are
Because
we
there's too much fucking foreign entanglement.
is there
I
foreign
think that's
entanglement with JFK?
yeah. Oh, 100%.
What's to not say that Epstein is also a foreign entanglement or
Oh,
involvement?
100%. He's not even foreignly entangled with just Israel. I think he was a free agent
Mossad,
for almost all. Well, Mossad is Israel's
CIA,
intelligence agency.
yeah,
Yeah, I think he's entangled with CIA, Mossad, MI6. Whatever they do in
a lot
the right.
bigger than what we realize.
Yeah, I think it's not direct. His involvement, his loyalty is to Israel and not to the American state, American people. But there's also a personal aspect for Epstein as well. So for him to get empowered, as
Hmm.
well as get the Israeli government in power as well. This guy isn't just a one direct. I mean, we all have our proclivities to certain things. Like I'm an American citizen, but American citizen and a nationalist who wants um, the American people to be empowered, and we don't want all these foreign nations waving flags everywhere in our country. But I'm also a Christian, and I'm also some other aspects of myself. So these kind of a lot of these things kind of overlap, and the
Right.
interests kind of get muddied a little bit. But it's important to look at the main interest of Epstein, and I think as we look at with some of his associates, Leslie Wessner,
Hmm, hmm.
he's a high ranking. I think he bought Victoria's Secrets back in the 90s or something. But here's the story with him. Epstein came up to Leslie Waxner in the 80s, and Leslie Waxner was close with one of his business associates. And then when Epstein came into Leslie's office, everything changed apparently. What Leslie Waxner signed over all of his power of attorney to Epstein. So I find that very interesting. And they both tend to be, they're both Jewish citizens or Jewish people. And then I think that's what happened in that situation. He's like, hey, you have a bigger obligation to your people. You need to help them out. So
Right,
give
right.
me power of attorney. I'm going to manage your finances and stuff like that. But that's kind of getting off topic here. That's kind of, but to stay back on Trump situation, yeah, I want to see these files come out in entirety, but it's a shot in the dark for that.
Yeah, yeah.
Won't happen.
I think that down the road, um, I mean, obviously, there's foreign entanglement. I mean, you just look at, the Dubai CEO billionaire. You look at, Epstein's involvement with the Russian foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov. You look at all of, everybody else, and everybody else who's involved. Uh, Prince Andrew.
Yeah, well,
I
a
got the
lot of
name right. It's
Israelis
Prince Andrew.
migrated from Eastern Europe.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
lot of these Israelis early on in the late 19th century migrated because of prosecution in Russia. So there's still ties to Russia. Very clearly, you
right.
can go back in the history books. They migrated because of the fact that they were getting prosecuted. Some were left behind, so they have some relations there still.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how I feel about, you know, I mean, you can say that you're optimistic, but I'm more hesitant to be optimistic. I think it's just I think it's you know the of course it's a big revelation like, oh wow, we're gonna release 50,000 emails. Well, if you're gonna withhold five emails that are or five files that are implicated email, I mean it's obviously
What's the point? Yeah, no, I
exactly,
agree with that.
but obviously Trump and the Republicans are going to use this to their political advantage to say, hey, look at it, we released all the files, what more do you want? And and
Well, that's what we're going to keep doing. If we don't
and
get
Trump
anything
is,
that we seem to be accurate, I think they're going to keep pushing, because if they just release 1,000 files and it's completely bullshit, they're going to call cap. They're
well
going to be
we
like, no, that's
but
not the
but
entirety, and
what's
let's hold
okay,
another
you
vote.
you look at the last several discussions, the last 4 months ago they released, I don't know, what, 2,000. Month later they released another batch. Month later another 20,000 batch. Why not all at the same time? Why you know why partition the release in
Well, the
segments?
Epstein files had come out before Trump.
Yeah,
The
of
Epstein
course.
files had come out before Trump, before he got
Yeah.
into his second term. And basically, what Trump did is he re-released them officially. These files were already given to the press
Right.
and released. What Trump did is he re-released the same files with some additional ones that they had already done. So
Hmm.
it's like there's nothing new that came out, and that's why so many people were upset.
I mean, even with 20 plus thousand emails, that's new. I mean, some are pretty interesting, obviously, when
Yeah.
with Clintons and
I knew you
others.
were gonna say that.
Mhm.
I was thinking that I'm like he's gonna mention Bubba or something.
Bubba. Somebody, I think it was Mark Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein's brother.
Right.
Um,
He's been talking.
he's been talking a lot. He's saying
Yeah.
he pretty much said that Bubba's not Clinton. So
Oh, he said that?
I think so. Don't quote me.
Interesting,
I'm gonna have to
because
look up again.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
not saying that he is, but no, he probably
okay,
is
then
Bubba.
who
I
is
think
it?
he's
Well,
lying.
Bubba's been Clinton's nickname for a
Exactly.
while. So who
I
else
think
would
it's
he
most
be referring
definitely
to?
Clinton. Yeah, I think he's trying to
Um,
cover up. I don't trust that family at all.
covering for his brother? I mean, well, covering for the
What do you mean?
Clintons?
Both. I mean, whatever helps. Whatever's good. What do they call? What's the thing? What's good for the goose is good for the gander. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah. I mean, I don't
So
think
it's like,
Mark is going to be. I mean, that whole
yeah,
family is
he's not
already a
going to help us out at
disgrace,
all.
so
No, no.
I doubt he's gonna say anything. But
Most people die with the ship. That's the truth.
yeah, yeah.
They
I'm
go
more
down with the
curious
ship.
to how much involvement Epstein in Israel. How much
Oh, one.
involvement
I mean,
is there?
Ghislaine Maxwell,
Oh,
daughter
oh, oh no,
of
I know there is. It's just how deep was it?
Robert
How deep were they in?
Maxwell.
So
Oh, they were deep in bed with the. I mean, Trump was. I mean, sorry, Epstein was deep in bed with the Israeli. I mean, there's no doubt, without a doubt, zero doubt, one
right, right.
million percent confirmed. I mean, that's projected in the files.
Well,
I think
speaking on
allegedly.
the on in bed with Israel, there's been some. I have some pretty damning evidence, um, and of course conspiracies when it comes to
Mhm.
the Ukrainian corruption.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, I'm sure, you know, this looks disastrous on the international stage for all of Europe, for the US to know that one
Mhm.
of their highest, you know, closest individual to Zelensky. Fun fact, he's a so Zelensky and Medic. So Medic is the Minister of Energy. You know,
You're
my
telling my story. You're
I'm
telling
telling.
my story
Oh,
right
did
now.
I took it? Did I took it?
Motherfucker, you're telling my story. I'll let you go over it since
Our
you're in
story,
Ukraine.
our story,
Uh,
our story.
okay, our story, apparently.
Um, but the involvement essentially is
I'll be the martyr of this
um,
story, whatever.
you,
I
you
got
can
it.
you can fill whatever I missed.
I'll fill in the
Um,
gaps, yep.
but they have owned a comic club or comedian club together,
Yeah,
and
oh, he's
so they knew
a
each other.
producer, and then,
Producer,
yeah, yeah.
and of course he was the Minister of Energy for
Hmm.
Ukraine, especially during this time. During the time that's not very convenient uh, for the Ukrainians with the upcoming winter season. And of
Hmm.
course, this looks terrible. But in a little bit on the Ukraine history, so Ukraine never really allowed dual citizenship until up until this year. This year,
Really?
Zelensky
So he just
passed.
got dual. Really interesting.
Maybe I don't except special circumstances. Special circumstances. I
Hmm.
don't know when Medic got his dual citizenship, but but the fact that if you were a foreign individual and you wanted Ukraine citizenship in another country,
For the
uh,
common man, dual
it's
citizenship wasn't
possible now.
allowed until
Correct
June
for the common
15th.
man.
I see.
Correct. This year was passed. Gives foreign fighters a chance to essentially serve under Ukrainian military and potentially earn the Ukrainian citizenship. But nonetheless, Medic, this Minister of Energy, uh, does hold a dual citizen. Um,
Yeah. So Ukrainian, Israeli.
he's a Ukrainian Israeli, and my source told me that he ran. Uh, I don't know where he ran to, but I
Politico states that he is seemed to be fled to Israel.
so when
Assumed to be fled.
of course his name was pretty much known, but he was aware of what was going on, that people are
Hmm.
catching on, so he left the
Yep.
country before SBU, the Ukrainian secret services essentially can get to him. Um, this is not to say, wherever he is, might be Israel, might be somewhere in Europe that doesn't have a, extradition treaty Um,
Mhm.
yeah,
I mean, Israel has an extradition treaty. They do, but they just don't extradite Israelis or Jewish people.
right,
That's the truth.
right,
That's
right.
their foreign policy. So yeah, just to go over basically what you did, we got Mindich or whatever you want to call it,
Medic,
Mindich,
Medic.
who is fleeing to Israel, who is the Secretary of Energy in the Ukrainian government. And what they were doing, so they were skimming off the top and inflating the prices for
Mhm.
energy to take some off the top. And they just kept doing this. I don't know how long they were doing it. I don't know what the reports say exactly, but they were just that this is what Politico's saying exactly. They were skimming off the top and
Yeah,
inflating the prices of energy so that I mean they could get their own personal wealth up. I mean, it's a complete corruption scandal. It should be held to the highest degree in the courts of Israel or in the courts of Ukraine. I wish. I mean, this is why I think Israel is such a.
ugly
I'm not a
state.
fan of it. It's an ugly state. I'm not a fan of it because this is not the only person that's fled to Israel after being caught in a criminal case.
Yeah.
There are multiple people in the United States and other countries. I don't remember their names exactly, but it exists that once they commit a case that's worth, or sorry, once they commit a criminal offense that's worth prosecuting,
Hmm.
they flee to Israel and they have this immunity because they're in Israel and Israel won't extradite their own.
Right.
And now we can't prosecute these people. So I think it's a very bad. I think this corruption is universal. I don't think it's just the American government. I don't think it's just the Ukrainian government. I think it's bad everywhere in the
Bad
West,
everywhere
and it's
when
spreading
Israel is
quickly.
involved. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even think it extends to. I think it's the UK. I think it's
Everywhere.
Israel. I think it's Ukraine. I think it's the Middle East. I think it's America, Canada, Mexico. It's this parasitic thing is just destroying. I mean, I hate to say it's destroying everywhere. I think a lot of the problems we have today is because individuals are taking money off the top
Hmm.
or just complete greed and power. They just they have this obsession with both greed and power
Yeah.
and control. So it's bad everywhere. It's not unique to any situation, but it is particularly abundant in Israel.
It is.
And I think that's where a
A
lot of
lot.
it stems, unfortunately, from
I
some of the
mean,
studies
for
I've been
me, it's
doing.
like why does everything seem to end up from the Israel side? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's like you. I mean, you
Yeah, I
look
mean
at recent
Larry Page,
hmm
co-founder of Google, mentioned in the Epstein files a lot.
a lot. I mean, it doesn't even have to be, Larry Page. I mean, anybody recently is, I mean, Epstein. You look at, you know, everywhere you look is something to do with. Obviously, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole, but there is obviously talks and discussions that potentially even Charlie Kirk's assassination is involved heavily with the Israeli. I won't go into I won't go in too in depth, but
I'm not sure.
essentially
So
Charlie Kirk essentially
Mhm.
didn't took a I believe somebody offered him some it might be Netanyahu offered Charlie some money to promote Israeli talking point on his channel. He refused, and the
I
rest is
don't think
history.
that's I don't think that's what went on. I think Charlie reached out to Netanyahu
Yeah,
trying to get
revive relations.
trying to get some information on how to because Charlie was being confronted with a lot of anti-Israel talking points and he didn't know how to debate it. He thought
Yeah,
he got to a point where he believed that his position was indefensible. So he reached out to Netanyahu in a letter, I mean a couple months before he died and saying, "Hey, Netanyahu, I'm getting beat on the ground. So I
yeah,
think I need some help. We need to create more of a system for we need to get some of the media on our side. The media isn't doing well to support this claim because they're supporting it, but with no evidence. They
right,
have the like, yes, we love Israel, but what is the evidence for why we should support Israel and why the crimes they're committing are irrefutable? I mean, he
right.
wanted some evidence to refute these arguments, and he had none. He came to the conclusion that he had none. So he reached out to Netanyahu. And on regards of Israelis being involved in his assassination, I think they are, but I don't think we have clear evidence yet because I'm starting to flip on this because Candace Owens is coming up with a lot. And I know I said on last episode, I wasn't convinced, but there is some information. I don't know if it's Israel, but there is some information surfacing up that there were these two planes that were following the Kirk family. They had they had like 80 flights that were in the same area in the same place.
Mm-hmm.
Two planes in particular, a blue plane and a yellow plane that Candace Owens has stated, that were in the same area or at the same airport. I don't know which. That Erica Kirk specifically was in at the same. So they had convening flights at the same time. So they're doing a good job tracking these flights.
Did
It's
you hear?
very
Did you hear about
extensive and very
did you did you hear about the plane that I believe in like it turned off? It's
yes,
um
turned off, turned on.
turned off its own. Yeah, I'm not sure its radar system, but transponder. I think that's what we call
Oh
it.
no, I didn't hear about this.
Um,
They're tracking.
the
Is that what
tracking
you're talking about?
device. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And of course, the guy who it's funny because the guy who owned that airline came out and said, it was just a coincidence.
Mm.
I'm not sure what that means when it comes to like, okay, first of all, why did you turn off your tracking, your tracker from air traffic controllers? Um, but yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know.
I am leaning more to the side of Candace Owens because she's coming out with a lot of good evidence to why this
It's very damning
situation
of
is a
what's
lot
going
more
on.
complicated than is shown by the
Yeah,
FBI.
yeah,
It's a lot more complicated than they say, hey, this guy got on the roof, he got a weapon and ran off. No, there are a lot of more intersecting details going on, a lot of suspicious activity, even within their own organization, which is kind of interesting.
yeah.
I don't know if you've been following the Candace Owens
I've
her story on this. I have been, but I haven't been convinced
not
until some of the
directly.
recent episodes.
Not directly. I have not. This is I've actually there's a pastor that I follow ever since I came to the United States from China,
Mm.
and I've watched him for over a decade now.
Mega
And
church pastor, small church
mega
pastor.
church pastor,
Mm.
once upon a time, mega church pastor, but mega mega church turned to small church due to his nature. Um, he
What
he ha
happened?
he has his own he has his own YouTube channel now, pretty popular.
Okay.
But he pretty much slandered on Candace, saying she doesn't have anything better to do other than you know than
Yeah, well,
find
that's the problem with some of these arguments. She doesn't have it. What argument is that against what she's saying?
right, right. But
There's an
that's not
argument
an
with no
argument.
evidence. It means nothing.
Well, not even that. There's people that are like, I can't believe I can't believe you're gonna actually the majority of people in the comment section are like, Pastor so and so, I can't believe, I agree with you on just about everything, but for this can't
Rob McCoy is the one she's following. I don't know if that's the guy you're
no,
talking about.
no, no, no,
Okay.
no. And everybody's saying, I follow I agree with you on a lot of things, but
Hmm.
you're wrong, Candace. She's doing her due diligence in of course this pastor has met Charlie, has probably had Charlie on his show once upon a time.
Hmm.
Um, but at the same time, you have people there are people that are like, pastor is right. People needs to pray about it and about all of this. And I'm like, yeah, pray for the truth.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
Pray for the truth to come out.
Yeah.
Because last time I
Yeah.
checked, FBI isn't exactly a star citizen or an example for everybody to
Nope.
follow. Same thing
Nope.
with
Neither is the
DOJ.
NSA. Neither is the
Same with
CIA.
all of
Neither
the
is the
Trump administration.
DOJ.
All of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't trust anybody at their words. I think everybody should do
No.
their due diligence. And of course, and Candace Owens isn't just someone who, off the street and decides to do some investigation. No, no, she is a close circle, I would say friend of Charlie Kirk. Uh,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, probably shoulder to shoulder as far as
For the
popularity
longest time,
for
I
the
mean,
longest time.
she was picked up during the founding of Turning Point to do
Right,
most
right.
of the public speaking. So it's like
She
they were together for a long time
she has
until she
done two
transitioned to Daily Wire.
she has done two Turning Point USA uh, uh, conference, speeches, but
Yeah,
after
conference.
what happened uh, in light of recent events, she
The fallout of the Daily
she
Wire.
she kind of turned away from no, 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 not Daily Wire.
Oh.
That's a whole different issue. But no, she
Mhm.
kindly refused to do any more of TPUSA conferences, just because of one of the her of course her suspicion,
Mhm.
it could be someone on the TPUSA board,
Mhm. In
you
the
know
inside. Yeah.
on the be being yeah
Yeah, I mean, Ian says I can't watch Candace Owens. She's too conspiratorial. I think that's true, but I think she's coming out with a lot of evidence recently for the
conspiratorial,
um,
but the evidence she's presented, you can't ignore it. That's
yeah.
the problem.
It's too correlation is too correlative to be just
Yeah.
correlative.
I
I
mean,
mean, there
obviously
seems to be
correlation
some
doesn't mean
causation.
causation,
Yeah,
but it does shine a light
right.
on some
It does shine.
things.
Yeah, I mean, if something is correlating to an extreme degree, I mean, that doesn't mean causation, but it means that we should look further into it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then with she ran a Macron, the Macrons, the president of
France.
France. Yeah,
Macron. Hmm.
yeah. I mean, she's saying this is what I kind of she gets into irrelevant conspiracy land. Why do we need to know? I mean, I don't know her whole story, but why do we need to know if who he's dating is a man or a woman? I think she's probably a woman, but there has been some recent. You have you heard about this
I have
story she's
not.
been covering?
I have not.
She appears
Mm-mm.
to think that the president of Macron's wife is a man. It's a
I
transgender
mean,
woman.
I okay, obviously that's whatever political or
Yeah,
whatever political you are.
that gets
I don't
off into
s-
loony land for me.
I don't see why that's a problem for Candace to be covering that. But obviously
Well, it's because it's completely
it's
irrelevant.
interesting.
Why should we care about? It's
Right, right.
interesting.
It's
I think
interesting.
it's relevant
I mean,
because there's some
I've heard
Russia
Michelle Obama
aspects to it.
was swinging, so
Yeah, that's the pro. I don't think Michelle Obama's probably not a man either. We get off into these loony lands where we think that we get. I mean, based off physical features, Obama tends to
yeah.
be a little bit out of the ordinary. I will admit, but I don't think she's a man. I'm just going to be honest. This is where you kind of. This is where the inaccurate conspiracies kind of get involved with the ones that are more legitimate and
Yeah,
kind of muddy the water for the real ones. So
right,
that's why
right.
I don't like why she's covering this and what she's doing. It's because it muddies the water for some
It
other more relevant conspiracies to come to
oh,
light.
fair, fair. I mean, obviously, what she presented when it comes to to uh the French president's wife
Hmm.
and the Charlie Kirk thing. Obviously, one of them is pure comedy and the other one is pretty serious. Um, you know, I don't know if she loses credibility on this in general, but
I think it's a risk that you take
it's a
that
risk she
risk, you
takes,
get
correct?
sued, and you're like, what's the risk for that we prove that she's a man? What does that do for
Well,
us?
no, there's not a risk. She's not going to get sued in the United
Well,
States
no, she will get sued and she is being sued for defamation right now.
from the French side.
She's being sued from the French government for
Uh,
defamation, and there's
but
some courts that may come up
what about freedom of
that
speech?
well, defamation isn't protected under freedom of speech.
No,
Nope.
I
In
didn't know.
certain states, defamation is not protected,
Interesting.
and I don't think internationally it is either. So, yeah, that's you
So
can
if I
talk
call you
hatefully towards
ugly,
people, but nope, not considered under defamation.
okay, okay.
Defamation is the act of hurting someone's reputation,
Reputation.
and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
yeah, and that's what she's kind of doing. That she's
Okay.
claiming that somebody's a man, not for hysterical purposes to make laugh of it, literally to prove that she is a man, which I
I gotta look
don't
into
believe.
that. That's funny.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got to look more deeply into her coverage of it, but I just think it's often a loony line, to be honest. I like Candace Owen; she's a smart lady, but when you get off into these irrelevant conspiracies
Well,
that do nothing for the purpose, it's kind of what
here's
the fuck are you doing?
true, true, true. You're not wrong, but at the same
Mhm.
time, which journalist is really deep diving this issue? I mean, this is international.
Whitney Webb, Daryl Cooper.
Okay, are they going to depth that Candace is going though?
Oh, not on the irrelevant topics. They're getting into some really
Sure.
deep, good topics.
Okay.
They've done deep dives on the Israeli lobby, and Whitney Webb has done some deep dives on some of the
Well,
corruption
I
within
hope
our
I hope
government.
they maybe they'll find some correlation between those Israeli lobby and Charlie Kirk's disappearance or death.
They're not as concerned on that. I mean, that's a more personal issue for Candace. That's why.
There
They want to
wasn't.
find the bigger problem. Candace Owens is kind of going for trying to draw a line. They want to find the roots,
Yeah, okay,
and
fair,
you
fair.
can't really find the roots. I think through this situation because it's done through so many lines of communication.
Well,
But
not
they
not
want to
only
go.
that, there's so many people involved who are bought into it too. So
Yeah, I think a lot of people. I think power corrupts and money corrupts pretty easily. To say that, I think it's something we should try to stay away. Well, I don't know. We should get it because we need it to get power, but we should try our best to say cognitive that we are susceptible to our natural instincts.
do you think Trump is an elitist?
Oh, 100%.
You think
He's a
he's bought?
billionaire.
You think he's bought
To some degree, yes, I think he is.
by the elites? You think he's a puppet?
I don't know if he's a puppet. And, the thing is, them being bought and them being involved in it doesn't always mean bad intention because they could be trying to get involved in these situations to get a national movement going. So they have to kind of um, entangle themselves in it to get some progress going, which I think the Trump administration does on a rhetoric level. I think their rhetoric is good for moving the needle, for moving the Overton window of conversation. And I think he's done a good job at that. But I think past his movement, we need to carry the torch and take it on further because I don't think we've gotten enough change. There's way too much distance between the two parties. We need to.
There
I would
was
like the parties to get closer, but there has to be a new revolution because we've gotten so far away from reality. I think
there
we really have.
there was a yeah, I agree with you. There was a wise man told me that that Trump potentially was playing both sides,
Hmm.
playing from the elitist side, but at the same time pr- kind of um, more like a wild card, if anything,
Hmm.
uh, because of the unpredictability. I mean, he is the president of the United States. He's
Hmm.
definitely using that to the elitist agenda. The reason why I think
Yeah, and he's doubled his wealth while he's been in presidency, which I find
yeah,
pretty
yeah, yeah.
interesting.
Fun fact.
It's very
He's
lucrative
meeting he's
for him
meeting the
as
Saudis
president.
today, and he's doing
Well,
family
that's for
business
foreign
with the
investors.
Saudis. Yeah, but his
Oh yeah, I
family's
saw
involved.
that.
And
Yeah, I saw that.
there's a I
And
think
he,
ABC News. They're like, isn't it
mhm.
a conflict of interest?
Yeah, and I think it is. But on that side, that's where it's like there is a personal interest. It's just it's okay to have personal interests, but at this point, what is it motivated by? Is it motivated by helping the people, and then you get the personal
We are
engagement
also
on the side?
giving them our F-35 platform, the most advanced aircraft,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
fighter jet speaking, to the Saudis. I disagree with that, but some people
Mhm.
think that it's beneficial, but I
Yeah,
don't.
I disagree with it as
I
well. I
don't I
mean,
don't
we
think we
shouldn't
should
be
have.
entangling ourselves in so much of these things that we're tied to our obligation. That's why I'm saying, like in our last conversation where we were talking about, who is accountable for some of these deeds done, like with the fentanyl being
Yeah.
carried over to. So this is where kind of I think we are accountable to some degree if these weapons are used in a malicious way and we continue to sell them to them.
The US doesn't care. I mean, we're so massive right now that
Hmm.
any country that points finger for the Saudis using or the Israelis using American weapon,
Hmm.
obviously, the countries in the Middle East doesn't really care much about that because the United States kind of, does it that we do it to ourselves when we bomb, Middle Eastern countries. You don't need Israeli using American missiles and bombs to attack the you know the attack I don't know Palestinians or that region for those people to hate Americans. No, they hate us because we do it to ourselves innately.
Hmm.
From generations of war.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah, a lot of the Middle Eastern countries don't like us because Iran, Iraq, I mean, they have death to America chants,
yeah, yeah,
which is why I think it's probably okay to bomb their facilities. We give them warning, tell them to evacuate, and tell them we're going to destroy their facilities. I don't see too much of a problem with that if it's made for the purpose of getting rid of infrastructure to make sure the industry doesn't grow bigger. I don't see a problem with that. I just see a problem with the false pretense and the false flag that it's built on.
it
If there is no issue with Iran, and there has not been an issue for the longest time, there might be one today with them getting a nuclear bomb. I would like to see them not get one, but we don't need boots on the ground enforcing these ideas. We
well,
need
I
to
don't I
get
don't
in, get out really
y-
quickly.
yeah, but it's not really like obviously the proxy groups. I blame Iran for the proxy groups.
Mm.
What are they?
Yeah.
Hamas, Hezbollah,
Hmm.
I forgot the other one, but all these proxy groups are funded by obviously Obama give them $8 billion. I don't know what that was about, but during his administration for some, I think for some, uh, was it for exchange of prisoners, POWs? I have to look into it again, but I know that Obama did gave the Iranians 8 billion. Um, but I mean, obviously, these these proxy group, including the Iranians, have always had their I don't know their lifelong martyr goal is to kill the Israeli or should I say kill the Jews or kill the Israelis and kill all of
Mm,
Americans.
I'm not
Um,
sure that's the reason behind. I think Israel. Well, I think maybe that's the reason behind it, but I think it's because
Not the
in
reason.
Palestine, Israel was like starving the people, giving them bare minimum influence. They set up a border of one-way distribution of goods into their country, so they get to
Yeah.
control whatever substances go in and out. So it's like when you deprive these guys of any way to get up in life or just actual good food or anything like that. I mean, I think there's decent justification for the distancing of Palestine from Israel because whether there's justification for October 7th, it's a little January 7th. Wait, January 7th? No, October 7th.
October 7th.
Um, October 7th, that's up for interpretation. Obviously, I don't want people to kill people, but when you're starving a people like that, you have a right to protect yourself and
Hmm. Hmm.
offensively, because in a way, they're offensively starting it by, I mean, this goes way back before that, but that's again off topic.
Uh, I mean, speaking of like these foreign affairs, I want to hit up on a little bit on Venezuela. I think
Mm,
that I personally don't think that we are going in, we are doing what we're doing in the, building up a heavily armed, um, you know, region off of Venezuela is because we're trying to stop the drug boats from coming in or stop the drug flow from
mm,
Venezuela to come in. I really think there's an ulterior motive. Um, Obviously, with Venezuela being quote unquote allies with China and Russia. It's essentially, the U.S. sees it as an enemy in our backyard, like
Hmm.
Cuba, like
Yeah.
Cuba. And I don't know if you can justify, if Russia or China decides to arm Venezuela, will the U.S. be okay with that? I mean, you can debate
Arm
that
in what
either.
way? If they give them guns, it's probably not an issue.
No, 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 not guns, missiles, aircraft.
I don't think any of that matters whether they're armed. I would say, yeah, we should probably prevent it, but it doesn't matter. They're such a
But
small country; they have no
mean
power.
prevent? Well, they have no power because they did it to themselves. So this
Hmm.
is why I'm saying is that I think there's the we're really good at playing political game in the United States. From even from a propaganda within the from our own media. I
Hmm.
personally, because we all know Venezuela has one of the best natural resources. I would say top three natural resources in the world
I didn't know that.
easily. I believe Saudi would be the other one. However, due to
Yeah,
corruption
they have oil.
within Venezuela, because of corruption within Venezuela, that's where they're poor, or the way that they are. And of course, you have a essentially a president that's kind of authoritarian, doesn't really support the country. Um, but at the same time, you have I mean, do you think China and Russia cares about, oh, poor Venezuela? No. Same thing with the US. Why do you think all these major countries runs towards Venezuela? Like, because I don't think it's because of, oh, we need to help the Venezuelans
No,
defend
it's for
them. No,
personal
it's for
interest,
personal
obviously.
interest. It's for their
Hmm.
rich natural resources. And
Yeah,
I
makes
think
sense.
that and I think the United States is the goal is to, quote me and mark my word, but I think that uh we will do a regime change from Venezuela
Mm.
and find someone who is a I would say pro United States
Hmm.
and pretty much get in favor with that, um, and
Maybe. Yeah.
maybe do a economic partnership with Venezuela so we
Mhm.
can get access to the resources that
Some of
Venezuela have, some of it. I
yeah.
mean, obviously, we're going to promise them, hey, we're going to rebuild your country. I personally hate the fact that we rebuilt Germany. I hate the fact we rebuilt Japan. All these
Mm.
countries are essentially our puppets now.
Mm.
Um, that's odd, and I don't know if it's going to be. I don't think Venezuela falls under that. Um, but I mean, there. I don't know why else you would have, you know, the most advanced aircraft carrier against Venezuela either. But who knows?
Mhm. Yeah, maybe for public enforcement or protection against regional areas,
It's
but
a show of force. That's what they say. It's a show of
mhm.
force. I mean, I don't. You can show force with other means, but sure, it is a major show of force. It's gonna
Mhm.
force Venezuela to come to the negotiation table and say, hey, yeah, we're gonna we're gonna be better at drug enforcement, and we're gonna in whatever the
Yeah.
issue is.
I think we should try to make a deal with Venezuela. I don't know if we probably already have some deal with Venezuela to trade some natural resources, but regime change is crossing my line. I don't if they
Regime,
don't want to do ball with us.
I disagree with regime
Yeah.
change,
But the
because go ahead.
some of the problem is when Venezuela gets involved with the Western Hemisphere, they're opposing the Monroe Doctrine,
Hmm.
which is no foreign relations on the Western Hemisphere. So it's a conflict of interest for us for these countries to be selling whatever. I mean, China could have negotiated the hell out of the deal for protections and just gotten for them to be uplifting China's country, especially on our hemisphere. It's a big conflict. I see the conflict of interest there.
I don't.
I can
Yeah,
see that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know how close or how much of a, I'm speaking from a post regime change. You have someone who comes in, um, who is pro United States. Um,
Mm,
what about the existing policies uh, and relations that you did have with the Eastern Bloc? Do you just throw your relationship with Russia away? Do you just throw your relationship with China away? I mean, these are the guys that you've pretty much dealt with economically, militarily,
mm-hmm,
and here is a new president of Venezuela, decides to wake up one day and be on the side of the United States.
mm-hmm.
I don't see that. If
No, I don't
anything,
think so either. I
if
agree with you.
anything, it'll be um, I mean, we might reinstall a puppet there. I don't know.
We'll see. I'm not sure on that. Don't know
Well,
too much.
I gotta wrap it up. But
Okay, cool. Yeah,
good
W
talks.
podcasts. I mean, I
W
guess we'll talk about
podcast.
Mexico next time.
We're talking about Mexico next time. But yeah, Mexico Revolution.
Yep.
Juicy one.
All right. W.
W. Me gonna do
Yeah, but Egypt shares a border with Yeah, I know.
Egypt shares it. Yeah. I mean, I don't.
The planes that were found in some of these corresponding flights with the Kirk family.